Hello dear students, let's start to discuss one more topic from our subject science standard class 10, and the topic name is reproduction in organisms. What is the necessity of this process? We used to say reproduction is also considered as an essential process. Why it is considered as an essential process? Because with the help of this process, an organism is able to maintain the continuity of its species on Earth, and as well as they also plays an important role to maintain the ecological balance of the Earth. What does it mean? If the organism will stop to reproduce, then in that condition, no new organism of that species will be found. If one species will start to eradicate it from the earth, then it will also impact the food chain, and as a result it will imbalance the ecological balance. So very first thing about the reproduction, we used to say it is also as an essential process. With the help of this process, an organism is able to maintain the continuity on the earth of the species on the earth, and it also helps to maintain the ecological balance. So in simple word, we used to say that with the help of it, new organisms are produced, and they are produced from the pre-existing organisms only. So reproduction is a process in which new organisms are produced from the pre-existing organisms only. It is considered as an essential process because with the help of it, an organism is able to maintain the continuity of the species on earth and also help to maintain the ecological balance of earth. Now, we used to say that this reproduction is mainly considered of two types: asexual mode of reproduction and sexual mode of reproduction. In sexual mode of reproduction, there is involvement of the sex cells or gamete. What they are the cells, sex cells or gamete are the cells which contain haploid number of chromosome. What does it mean? Now, we used to represent this number as n. In general condition, in our all the cells inside the nucleus, diploid number of chromosomes are present, in which half chromosomes we used to receive from our father and half we used to receive from our mother. But before entering into the process of reproduction, from these two chromosomes, only one chromosome is found inside the sex cells or gamete, and that sex cells or gamete plays an important role in the process of sexual mode of reproduction. Whereas in asexual reproduction, the new organism is formed from the single parent without the involvement of sex cells. So in normal way, we used to say that the major difference between the two mode of reproduction, asexual and sexual mode of reproduction, there is no involvement of gamete or sex cells in asexual mode of reproduction, whereas there is involvement of sex cells or gamete in sexual reproduction. So over here, two organisms are used to get involved, father and mother, which will lead to the formation of new daughter organism. Whereas in case of sexual reproduction, single parent organism is able to give birth to their child, and such daughter organisms are genetically identical. They used to contain the genetic material of the single parent only, so we used to consider them clone of their parents. Such mode of reproduction is found inside the microorganisms like bacteria, fungi, than in simple animals and simple plants. Whereas in higher organisms, higher plants and higher animals, sexual mode of reproduction is present. So we used to say reproduction is the process by which new organism is formed from pre-existing one, considered as an essential process because it helps to maintain the continuity of the species on Earth and also maintain the ecological balance. Now, when we start to discuss about the different mode of asexual reproduction, we used to say the 5 main type of asexual mode of reproduction. 5 major types of asexual mode of reproduction are fission, budding, spore formation, then regeneration and vegetative propagation. So 5 important types of asexual mode of reproduction are budding, fission, budding, spore formation, regeneration and vegetative propagation. In fission, the parent organism used to get split or divide into 2 or more daughter organisms. Such mode of reproduction is present inside the organisms like amoeba and paramecium, in which the parent amoeba used to get grow and elongation of nucleus used to take place. After that, this nucleus used to get divided, and finally the cytoplasm used to get divided, which lead to the formation of 2 daughter amoeba. This is binary fission, in which organism is splitting into 2 daughter organisms. If it will split into more than 2, then it will be considered as multiple fission. For example, during the unfavorable condition, a protective wall or cyst is formed on the outer side of the plasmodium, and inside it the nucleus used to get divided into several daughter nucleus. After that, cytoplasm used to get divided. When the favorable condition comes, this cyst used to get break down and the several daughter organisms are released into an environment. The second mode is budding. In the budding, a outward growth is formed on the parent organism, which is named as bud, and this bud used to get detached and form the entire new organism. This process is known as budding. Spore formation. During the unfavorable condition, spores are formed inside the fungi, for example in Rhizopus, Mucor, Penicillium, and when the favorable condition comes, these spores used to get dispersed into an environment and they will lead to the formation of new organism. Regeneration. The full organism is formed from the body part of the parental organism. It is commonly found in organisms like Hydra, Planaria, sponges. The parental organism used to get divided into several parts, and then each part lead to the formation of new organism. This mode is known as regeneration. Fragmentation is also an example of regeneration, in which when organism used to get matured, then it start to get divided and then every part will lead to the formation of new organism. Then in higher plants, vegetative propagation is also found, which is also a kind of asexual mode of reproduction, in which new plant are obtained from the parts of old plant, like from stem, roots, leaves, etc. What happens? These parts of plant, stem, roots and leaves, they also used to act as a bud. When the favorable conditions comes, like moisture, warmth, then these buds lead to the they will lead to the formation of new organism. So these are the 5 important types of asexual mode of reproduction. Now we move to the sexual mode of reproduction in human. The entire process of sexual mode of reproduction is divided into 3 phases: pre-fertilization, fertilization and post-fertilization. What exactly the fertilization is? As we had already discussed, that sexual mode of reproduction is mainly dependent on the sex cells or gamete. Now, these sex cells or gamete used to get fused together. The fusion of the sex cells or gamete is named as fertilization. So now the entire process is divided into three phases. The phase which used to take place before this fertilization and the after fertilization. In pre-fertilization phase, the formation and development of gametes used to take place. Formation and development of gametes used to take place inside the male and female body respectively. During fertilization, there is a fusion of gamete which lead to the formation of diploid. Yahan sex cells, we need to remember these gametes are haploid, means they contain half number of chromosome, whereas in daughter cell zygote, diploid number of chromosome are present. Half used to come from father and half used to come from mother. Now, as soon as this fusion takes place, fusion of the female gamete and fusion of the male gamete, where does this fusion takes place? The fusion takes place inside the fallopian tube. Inside it, fertilization takes place. Fertilization or fusion takes place. Which will lead to the formation of daughter cell named as zygote. Now this zygote start to get divided. It lead to the formation of 2 daughter cells, 4 daughter cells, 8 daughter cells. As a result, group of daughter cells is formed, which is named as blastula. Now, in post-fertilization phase, these cells of the blastula will start to move towards the endometrium wall, of the uterine cavity to receive the nourishment from the blood vessels. Inside the endometrium, spiral blood vessels are present. Spiral blood vessels are present. So to receive the nourishment, these cells start to move towards the endometrium wall. They used to get attached with the endometrium wall. This process is known as implantation. This implantation lead to the formation of 3 germ layers: ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. In class 9, we had discussed that from these 3 germ layers, ecto, meso and endoderm, 4 type of tissues are formed: epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular and nervous tissue. These tissues lead to the formation of organ system and then entire organism. In between these 3 layers, a canal is present, which is our future alimentary canal, start from mouth and end at anus. So that is how first gamete will be formed, that is pre-fertilization phase. Then fusion of gamete will form, and after fusion the new daughter cell zygote is formed. This zygote undergoes into the divisions, which will lead to the formation of the group of daughter cells. These cells will come inside the uterine cavity, will get attached with the endometrium wall. This process is known as implantation. Implantation will lead to the formation of 3 germ layers. From these germ layers, tissue will be formed. From tissue, organs will be formed. From organs, organ system will be formed. And from different organ system, entire organism will be formed. That is how a new organism used to form from the pre-existing one. Now, we used to discuss in detail about the structure of male and female reproductive system. The entire structure is divided into 2 parts: the primary sex organ of the male reproductive system and the secondary sex organs of the male reproductive system. Primary sex organ, the organ inside which male gamete or sperms are formed. So, the primary sex organ of male reproductive system is paired testes. They are located outside the abdominal cavity because temperature is low outside the abdominal cavity, which is favorable for the formation of gamete. Whereas secondary sex organs are the organs which do not produce the gamete, but they plays an important role in the process of reproduction. The secondary sex organ of male reproductive system are epididymis, vasa differentia, seminal vesicle, ejaculatory duct, prostate gland, urethra and penis. Now, it is a diagrammatically representation of the testes, yellow color, which is divided into compartments. These compartments are named as testicular lobules. Inside them, tubal-like structures are present, which are named as seminiferous tubules, in which formation of gametes used to take place. Now, these gametes are released and these gametes used to move towards epididymis. Epididymis is the region. It is also a coiled tubular structure present inside the pouch-like structure, scrotum. Inside the epididymis, maturation, they used to form. Gamete formed inside the testes, but they used to get matured inside the epididymis. Maturation of these sperms takes place inside the epididymis. From the epididymis, these gametes are carried out by the vasa differentia. So, vasa differentia used to carry the gamete towards the ejaculatory duct. Then, ejaculatory duct is a common duct which receives the gamete from the vasa differentia, and the secretion of the seminal vesicle, which is named as seminal fluid. It is named as seminal fluid. Now this fluid forms 60% to 70% part of white liquid named as semen. Now, the major function of this seminal fluid is to provide nourishment to male gamete. Now, this is urinary bladder. Near to it, urethra is present. On the side of urethra, another gland, prostate gland, is present. This gland forms the 25% part of semen. Now, these gametes and semen are released with the help of penis, which is named as male ejaculatory organ. So, the entire structure is divided into two parts, primary sex organ and secondary sex organ. Primary sex organs inside which gametes are formed. These are paired testes located outside the abdominal cavity because temperature is low, which is favorable for the formation of gamete. The formed gamete moves into the epididymis. Inside it, maturation of gametes used to take place. Epididymis carry the gametes towards the ejaculatory duct. Ejaculatory duct is a common duct which used to receive the gamete and seminal fluid. Now, the prostate gland also used to release the liquid which used to form the 25% part of semen, and they are released inside the female reproductive tract with the help of penis, which is known as male copulatory organ. Female reproductive system. Likewise, male reproductive system. The structure of female reproductive system is also divided into two parts, primary sex organ and secondary sex organs. The primary sex organs are the organs inside which female gamete or ovum are produced. The primary sex organ of the female reproductive system are paired ovaries. They are located inside the abdominal cavity towards backward side, and inside them female gametes are formed during embryonic period only, but these gametes used to get mature after the puberty. After the puberty, under the influence of the hormones, these gametes converted into the primary follicle, secondary follicle, then mature graphene follicle, which used to release the ovum by the process of ovulation. Now, after ovulation, ovum reaches inside the fallopian tube where the fusion of the male and female gamete takes place, which lead to the formation of zygote. So, inside the fallopian tube, fertilization or fusion takes place. It will lead to the formation of a group of cells, blastula. These cells will enter inside the uterine cavity. Inside the uterus, spiral blood vessels are present in the endometrium wall to provide nourishment. Now, 3 germ layers are formed. These germ layers will lead to the formation of tissue, organ system and organism. The formed organism will undergoes into the process of parturition with the help of cervix, which is named as birth canal, and this is the vagina, female copulatory organ. Now, along with it, we also used to discuss about the topic reproductive health. Now, what does this reproductive health means? It refers to the complete well-being of an organism in all the aspects, physical, mental and social well-being of an organism in respect to reproduction. For better reproductive health in India, we used to run the program Reproductive and Child Health Care. The major objective of this program is to control the population, or the population exploitation refers to the rapid increasing of the population. So we need to control the population, and along with it we also need to prevent the spreading of the sexual transmitted diseases. Now, as we had already discussed, the formation of new organism in sexual mode is entirely depend on the process of fertilization. So if we will prevent the process of fertilization, we will be able to control the population. Now, the process in which we use to prevent the fertilization is known as contraception, and all the devices or chemicals used for this process is known as contraceptives. The major types are barrier method, chemical method, surgical method and intrauterine contraceptive device. Barrier methods are the methods which prevent the meeting of the male and female gamete. If we will not allow them to meet, then there will be no formation of zygote. So either the diaphragm is used by the female to prevent the meeting of the male and female gametes, or condoms are used by the male to prevent the mating. Chemical methods are the methods which prevent the most common method is oral contraceptive methods, which prevent the releasing of the ovum into the fallopian tube. If ovum will not be released, then there will be no chances of fertilization. In surgical methods, in female, we used to cut the fallopian tube so that male gamete will not reach up to the female gamete, or either we used to cut the vasa differentia in male so that male gamete will not released along with the semen. So these are the methods: barrier, chemical and surgical. In male, when we used to cut the vasa differentia, it is named as vasectomy. In females, when we used to cut the fallopian tube, named as tubectomy. Intrauterine devices are the contraceptive devices. Common example of them are copper T. Example of it is copper T. They do not allow the implantation inside the uterine cavity. Now, sexual transmitted diseases are the disease which used to spread by the sexual contact with the infected person. Their examples are gonorrhea, syphilis, trichomoniasis and AIDS. It's all about this topic. Thank you.